My name is Margaret Collins. I'm 64 years old. For 40 years, I unlocked the same office door every morning at 7:30. 40 birthdays, 40 Christmases, 40 years of missed family dinners, all because I believed one thing. Hard work always comes back to you. I never imagined the person who would hurt me the most would be my own son. 3 weeks ago, my company announced they were holding a special ceremony. It was to honor my 40 years of service. The CEO himself was flying in from New York. The local news station would be there. Even retired employees were coming back. Everyone kept asking me, "Margaret, your family will be there, right?" I smiled proudly. Of course. My son wouldn't miss this for the world. I believed it. I truly did. His name is Ryan. He's 34. Growing up, it was always just the two of us. His father died when Ryan was only 6. From that day on, I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3. There were nights I skipped dinner just so Ryan could have everything he needed. He never knew, and I never wanted him to. When he graduated from college, I cried harder than anyone else. I thought every sacrifice had finally been worth it. Last Monday, I called him. "Ryan, I'm so excited. The ceremony is this Friday. I'd really love for you and Ashley to be there." There was a short silence, then he laughed awkwardly. "Mom, I forgot to tell you." Ashley had taken the phone. "Oh, we already booked a vacation." My smile disappeared. "A vacation?" "Yes, Hawaii," so it's non-refundable. I waited, thinking they were joking. They weren't. I quietly asked, "So, you're not coming?" Ashley answered before Ryan could speak. "It's only a work ceremony. You'll have another one someday." Another one? I was 64 years old. There would never be another 40-year celebration. I looked out the kitchen window, trying not to cry. Ryan finally said, "Mom, you understand, right?" I whispered. "Of course, I understand." Then I hung up. For several minutes, I simply stared at my phone. I had spent 40 years building a career and 34 years raising my son, yet somehow a beach vacation mattered more than either of those. The next morning, I went to work pretending everything was fine. Nobody noticed the tears I wiped away before walking into the building until someone quietly stopped beside my desk. It was Mr. Harrison, the retired accountant who had worked with me for almost 20 years. He looked at me carefully, then he asked one question. "Margaret, is Ryan coming on Friday?" I couldn't answer. I simply lowered my head. Mr. Harrison nodded slowly, but as if he already knew. Then he smiled and said something that completely changed the direction of my life. "Maybe you're inviting the wrong son." I looked up, completely confused. I had no idea what he meant. I couldn't stop thinking about Mr. Harrison's words. "Maybe you're inviting the wrong son." The sentence echoed in my head all day. What does that even mean? Before retiring, Mr. Harrison had known every employee's family. He watched Ryan grow up. He had even attended Ryan's high school graduation. As I packed my bag that evening, he walked over again. "Margaret, do you remember Michael?" I froze. Of course I remembered him. Michael Turner. He was my late best friend Linda's son. Linda and I had worked together for almost 25 years. When she passed away from cancer 8 years ago, Michael was only 22. After the funeral, I tried to help him whenever I could. Birthdays, Christmas cards, occasional phone calls, nothing more. Life eventually became busy, and we slowly lost touch. Mr. Harrison smiled. "You treated that young man like family. He still talks about you." I looked surprised. "He does?" Mr. Harrison nodded. "He says you were the only person who stood beside him after his mother died." I stayed silent. I honestly didn't know that. That night, I sat alone in my living room. Ryan hadn't called, not once. I opened Facebook. The first picture that appeared made my heart sink. Ryan and Ashley laughing together, holding colorful drinks, standing on a beach in Hawaii. The caption read, "Best vacation ever." It had only been one day. I quietly locked my phone. For the first time, I realized I wasn't angry anymore. I was disappointed. The next morning, I made a decision. I searched for Michael's number. It rang twice. Then a familiar voice answered. "Hello? Michael, It's Margaret. There was complete silence. Then his voice became warm. Margaret, oh my goodness, I haven't heard your voice in years. We talked for nearly 20 minutes. He asked about my health, my retirement plans. He remembered things even Ryan had forgotten. Finally, I laughed softly. Actually, I'm calling for a strange reason. He chuckled. What's that? My company is honoring my 40 years of service tomorrow. I was wondering if you'd like to come. There wasn't even a 2-second pause. I'll be there. I smiled. You don't even know what time. I don't care. I'll be there. Those 4 words hit me harder than I expected. Someone who wasn't my son didn't ask where, didn't ask why, didn't check his schedule. He simply said, I'll be there. When I hung up, I suddenly felt something I hadn't felt all week. Peace. But I had no idea that someone else had already found out about my invitation. And by that evening, Ryan's peaceful vacation was about to take a very unexpected turn. Friday morning, I stood in front of my bedroom mirror and trying to button the navy blue blazer my company had given me years ago. My hands were trembling, not because I was nervous, but because one chair in that auditorium would remain empty. The chair reserved for my son. I quietly whispered, "It's okay. You've survived much harder days than this." At exactly 10:30 a.m., I walked into the company headquarters. The entire lobby looked different. Large banners hung from the ceiling. One of them read, "Congratulations, Margaret Collins, 40 years of excellence." Employees began clapping the moment they saw me. Some hugged me, some thanked me, others told me stories I had completely forgotten, yet my eyes kept drifting toward the entrance. Every few seconds, I found myself thinking, maybe Ryan will surprise me. Maybe he'll walk in at the last minute. He never did. The ceremony began. The CEO stepped onto the stage. Today, we celebrate someone who gave 40 years of her life to this company. The audience applauded. I smiled politely, but inside I felt empty. Then, someone quietly sat beside me. I turned my head. It was Michael, wearing a perfectly pressed navy suit and holding a small bouquet of white lilies. He smiled. "I told you I'd be here." I couldn't speak. I simply held his hand for a second. For the first time that week, I didn't feel alone. As the speeches continued, the CEO suddenly looked toward Michael. "And who is this young man?" Before I could answer, Michael stood up. "My name is Michael Turner. I'm here because Margaret never let me feel alone after my mother passed away." The entire room became silent. He continued, "When everyone else disappeared, she remembered every birthday, every Christmas, every difficult day. If I'm standing here today, it's because she never stopped believing in me." I looked down, my eyes filled with tears. The audience gave him a standing ovation. Even the CEO was clapping. Then he smiled and said something no one expected. "Margaret, we actually have one final surprise." My heart skipped. I thought the ceremony was over. The lights dimmed. The giant screen behind the stage lit up. A video began playing. Photos from my very first day at the company, 40 years ago. Then pictures from every decade of my career, old friends, projects, awards, laughing faces. By the end, almost everyone in the room was crying, including me. Then the CEO walked toward the microphone again. He smiled at Michael, then looked back at me. "Margaret, you spent 40 years changing lives. So today, we've decided to change one." The audience suddenly became very quiet. I had absolutely no idea what he was about to say. The CEO smiled warmly. Then he looked directly at me. "Margaret, for 40 years, you never asked for recognition. You never asked for promotions. You never asked for special treatment. You simply showed up every single day." The auditorium became completely silent. He continued, "But there was one thing we noticed. Every bonus you ever received, you spent it on someone else." I lowered my head. I had never told anyone that, not even Ryan. The CEO smiled. "You secretly paid tuition for 3 employees' children. You helped 2 widows keep their homes. You donated to our emergency fund every single Christmas. You thought nobody knew." He paused. "We knew." The giant screen behind him changed. A short video began playing. One by one, People I barely recognized appeared on the screen: a young doctor, a teacher, a firefighter, a nurse. Every one of them had the same sentence: Margaret Collins changed my life. Tears rolled down my face. Then the CEO looked toward Michael. And today, we asked someone very special to accept something on your behalf. Michael looked confused. So did I. The CEO opened a dark blue folder. Our board of directors voted unanimously. For your 40 years of extraordinary service, we're establishing the Margaret Collins Legacy Scholarship Fund. The audience erupted into applause. Then came the words that made the entire room stand up. We're funding it with $1.2 million. For a moment, I honestly thought I had heard him wrong. The CEO smiled. This fund will help hardworking single parents for generations. Then he turned toward Michael. And we'd like you to become its first director. Michael froze. What? You've built a nonprofit helping young people after losing parents. We've followed your work for years. We believe Margaret chose the right person. Michael looked at me. His eyes were full of tears. I don't deserve this. The CEO smiled. You do. The audience stood, clapping louder than ever. Television cameras captured everything. None of us realized that thousands of miles away, Ryan had just opened social media on a beach in Hawaii. And the first thing he saw was my face live on television. The color immediately disappeared from his face. Ashley quietly whispered, Ryan, I think we have a problem. Ryan stared at his phone. His vacation suddenly didn't feel like a vacation anymore. The video had already gone viral. Every major business page was sharing it. The headline read, Company honors employee of 40 years with $1.2 million legacy fund. Then Ryan saw something else. Michael, standing beside me, accepting the scholarship fund. The comments were pouring in. What an incredible son. She's lucky to have him. Ryan whispered. He's not her son. Ashley looked at him. Then why does everyone think he is? Ryan didn't answer. Because he already knew. To the entire world, Michael looked more like my son than he did. Ryan immediately called me. No answer again, no answer again. Straight to voicemail. Ashley grabbed her own phone. She started calling too. Nothing. By the time their taxi reached the hotel, Ryan had called me 47 times. An hour later, the number had crossed 100. When their flight finally landed back home, my phone showed 147 missed calls. I never returned a single one. Not because I hated my son, but because for 40 years, I had always been the one chasing him. This time, I wanted him to understand what silence felt like. The following afternoon, there was a knock at my front door. I already knew who it was. I opened it slowly. Ryan stood there. His eyes were red. He looked exhausted. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Finally, he whispered, Mom, I'm sorry. I looked at him quietly. He continued, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I should have been there. I chose the wrong thing. I simply nodded. You did. He began crying, real tears, not fake ones. I didn't know how much that day meant to you. I asked one question. Ryan, if there had been no cameras, no news, no scholarship fund, would you still be standing here today? His face turned completely pale. He couldn't answer. Because we both knew the truth, he probably wouldn't. That silence hurt more than anything else. Then Michael's car pulled into the driveway. He stepped out, holding a folder. Ryan looked at him, then looked at me. For the first time, he realized something. Being family was never about blood. It was about showing up, and Michael had shown up when my own son didn't. Ryan quietly lowered his head. I think I've already lost you. I looked him straight in the eyes, and for the first time in his life, I stopped protecting him from the consequences of his own choices. Ryan stood frozen at my front door. For the first time in his life, he had nothing left to say. No excuses, no explanations, only regret. Just then, Michael walked up the driveway carrying a blue folder. He handed it to me quietly. Margaret, the board wanted you to have this. Inside was a letter, signed by every director. The last line made me stop breathing. You will remain honorary chair of the Margaret Collins Legacy Foundation for life. I smiled, not because of the title, but because my life's work would continue helping families long after I was gone. Ryan looked at the letter, then he whispered, "I should have been there." I looked into his eyes. "No, you should have wanted to be there." Those words hit harder than any punishment. He lowered his head. "I thought there would always be another chance." I answered softly, "Life doesn't always give us another chance." Silence filled the porch. Finally, Ryan turned toward Michael. "I'm sorry." Michael simply shook his head. "Don't apologize to me. Apologize to the woman who spent her whole life choosing you." Ryan's eyes filled with tears. He faced me again. "I can't change what I did, but if you'll let me, I'll spend the rest of my life making it right." I took a deep breath. "I forgive you." His face lifted with hope. Then I quietly added, "But trust isn't given back. It's earned." He nodded. "I understand." From that week forward, he never missed another Sunday. No cameras, no speeches, no audience, just a son finally showing up for his mother. Months later, he asked, "Mom, why did you choose Michael?" I smiled. "I didn't. You left an empty chair. He simply chose to fill it." Ryan never forgot those words. Years passed. People still talked about the $1.2 million legacy fund, but they misunderstood the real story. The money wasn't the miracle. The miracle was that one painful day finally taught my son that love isn't proven with words, it's proven by showing up. Every time I see another family helped through the Margaret Collins Legacy Foundation, I remember that ceremony. I lost one unforgettable day, but I gained something far greater. A son who finally understood that the greatest gift you can ever give someone is simply being there.